SCP-939. I remember having to sneak past these doggos in SCP Containment Breach. Really didn't like them, but we'll see what they're about.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon,
My name is
Volgun.
Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today
Or Dr. Miller.
is
My bad.
SCP-939. Object Class, Keter.
This is kind of an
Special
older video.
containment procedures. SCP-939-1, 3, 19, 53, 89, 96, 98,
There's that
99,
many?
and 109 are kept in Cell 1163-A or 1163-B. 10 by 10 by 3 meter containment chambers within Armed Biocontainment Area 14. Both cells are environmentally regulated and negatively pressurized, with walls constructed of reinforced concrete. Access to these cells is regulated by an outer decontamination chamber and inner gas-tight steel security doors.
Don't let them
Observation
out.
windows are constructed of laminated ballistics glass 10 centimeters in thickness, protected by a 100 kilovolt electrified mesh.
Good.
Humidity is
Don't want them getting
maintained
out
at
that way either.
100% at a temperature of 16 degrees Celsius. Specimens are monitored at all times via infrared
100%
cameras.
humidity?
Level 4 authorization is required to access SCP-939, their containment areas, or the observation chambers. SCP-939-101 is dismembered and stored in cryogenic preservation tanks 939-101A to 939-101M within Biome Research Area 12. Access to SCP-939-101 requires authorization by 2 Clearance Level 3 personnel, one of which must be present for all research and testing. The contents of only one 939-101 tank may be accessed at any given time. Core temperature of SCP-939-101 tissues must be monitored while removed from cryogenic preservation. Should core temperature exceed 10 degrees Celsius, tissues are to be returned to their corresponding tank and all testing suspended for a period of 72 hours.
What kind of
Core
testing would you
temperature
do?
exceeding 10 degrees
And
Celsius,
what would you get out of it?
research of SCP-939-101 tissues may continue, as long as its ramblings and pleas for release may be tolerated.
Whoa,
Containment
okay.
cells should be cleaned bi-weekly. While this takes place, SCP-939 specimens will be transferred to the adjacent cell. During this time, the cell's door and observation window must be inspected for damage and repaired or replaced accordingly. Heavy sedation of all SCP-939 is required before any interaction, including transfer between cells and experimentation, may take place. See Document 939-TE4 for Transfer and Experimentation Protocol. Level C hazmat gear is to be worn by personnel during interactions with SCP-939 specimens, and in any areas which SCP-939 have been known to inhabit. Afterward, standard decontamination procedures are to be observed by all personnel involved to ensure no secondary spread of amnestic agents occurs.
Very detailed.
Following incident ABCA-14-939-3,
Well, not as detailed as the Dear God one.
all non-D-Class personnel interacting with SCP-939 for any length of time are required to wear 2 waterproof electronic pulse monitors for the duration of such interaction. These pulse monitors will transmit to a wireless monitoring system independent of a facility's main power grid, with at least one backup power system on standby. Should both individuals' pulse monitors flatline or otherwise malfunction, the wearer will be presumed
What does the dog
dead.
do exactly?
Personnel instructed to disregard all the wearer's subsequent vocalizations and a breach of containment declared automatically.
Okay, I see. I guess the reasoning behind that is because I think this dog, like, imitates voices, and so you need a clear way of proving that the person is actually the person and not the doggo.
Security personnel responding to such a breach are likewise required to wear these pulse monitors. Additionally, all live SCP-939 must be implanted with subdermal tracking devices upon capture. Description: SCP-939 are endothermic, pack-based predators which display atrophy of various systems similar to troglodytic organisms. The skins of SCP-939 are highly permeable to moisture and translucent red, owing to a compound chemically similar to hemoglobin. SCP-939 average 2.2 meters tall, standing upright, and weigh an average of 250 kilograms, though weight is highly variable. Each of their 4 limbs end with 3-fingered claws with a 4th opposable digit, and are covered in setae which considerably augment climbing ability. Their hands are elongated, devoid of even vestigial eyes or eye sockets, and contain no brain casing. The jaws of SCP-939 are lined with red, faintly luminescent, fang-like teeth, similar to those belonging to specimens of the genus Cheoliadus, up to 6 centimeters in length, and encircled by heat-sensitive pit organs. Eye spots, sensitive to light and dark, run the length of their spined dorsal ridges. These spines may be up to 16 centimeters long and are believed to be sensitive to changes in air pressure and flow. SCP-939 do not possess many vital organ systems. Central and peripheral nervous systems, circulatory system, and digestive tract are all absent.
What? Then why? I guess it's just within their nature to track down any kind of living being, using their heat sensors and whatever other sensors, light and dark sensors.
SCP-939's respiratory system is atrophied and serves no apparent purpose beyond spreading AMN C227.
That's likely the reason why they have to wear hazmat suits as well whenever they enter into their containment facility. I wonder what it does to you. We'll probably learn about it later on.
SCP-939 have no apparent physiological need to feed, nor any way to digest consumed tissue. Ingested material typically accumulates in the respiratory system of SCP-939 and is regurgitated once the amount is sufficient to markedly inhibit its function. Despite the absence of many vital organ systems, SCP-939 are capable of bearing live young.
The hell? So you're saying that it kind of coughs up whatever it eats, like a furball? Or maybe it's necessary to consume whatever it is in order to copy its voice, and that's just the basic function of that. That's the only function.
See Addendum 1016, 1991. SCP-939's primary method of luring prey is the imitation of human speech in the voices of prior victims. Though imitation of other species and active nocturnal hunts have been documented, SCP-939 vocalizations often imply significant distress.
From League of Legends?
Whether SCP-939 understand their vocalizations or are repeating previously heard phrases is the subject of ongoing study.
I see.
How SCP-939 acquire voices is not currently understood. Specimens have been documented imitating victims despite never hearing the victims speak.
What the hell? Okay, never mind. Does not need to digest them in order to imitate them. It can simply imitate them without even hearing them speak. They just need to know? Well, no, they don't. Yeah, that's weird. I guess I can understand now why they have to do research on its flesh to potentially discover why it can do this in order to come up with some sort of countermeasure. Because that's freaky.
Analysis of SCP-939 vocalizations cannot distinguish between SCP-939 and samples of known victims' voices. The use of biometric voice recognition security or identification systems at any installation housing SCP-939 is strongly discouraged for this reason.
Should be straight up prohibited.
Prey is usually killed with a single bite to the cranium or neck. Bite forces have been measured in excess of 35 megapascals. SCP-939 exhale minute traces of an aerosolized Class C amnestic, designated AMN C227. AMN C227 causes temporary anterograde amnesia, inhibiting memory formation for the duration of exposure, plus an average of 30 minutes. It is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. with an estimated ETC50 for inhalation of 0.0015 milligrams per cubed volume of the area exposed. In well-ventilated or open-air environments, risk of exposure to ETC50 is greatly reduced, but not negligible. AMNC-227 is typically undetectable in the bloodstream 60 minutes following cessation of exposure. Reported sensations of disorientation and mild hallucinations immediately following removal from environments saturated with the agent are similar to recreational use of numerous psychoactive substances and easily mistaken as such.
Perhaps the main purpose of that is just to make it easier for people to, forget about the fact that this SCP is there, and so they just do dumb shit. Just walk straight towards the voice of whatever deceased relative you have, maybe?
Note, March 23rd, 2005. This report pertains to Morphology Alpha. For information regarding Morphology Beta, see Experiment Log 914, AMTF, News 7, After Action Report.
News 7?
April 11th, 1982. Due to SCP-939's intense aversion to bright light, it has been deemed a minimal risk of escape. Standard fluorescent hallway lighting is sufficient to deter SCP-939-1 from leaving its darkened cell. The following addendum has been stricken from the document, and we are advised to see Addendum September 20th, 1991.
Maybe you can blind it with light.
June 29th,
stun it.
1987. Preliminary research into AMNC-227 suggests potential use as a general-purpose amnestic. Methods of mass-producing the agent, as well as possible adverse effects, are being investigated at Biocontainment and Research Site 6. Addendum October 3rd, 1990. AMNC-227 has been approved for use as a Class C amnestic. Projected annual production at Bioresearch Area 12 by SCP-939 respiratory tissue cultures is expected to surpass 3 liters. And again, that following addendum was stricken from the official document. Addendum, September 20th, 1991. Containment of 9 SCP-939 specimens has been compromised following a Silent Night breach scenario at Biocontainment and Research Site 6. Nearby civilian settlements have been evacuated on the pretense of a coming storm. Recovery teams have been deployed to the area. Addendum, October 16th, 1991. In light of this, all interaction with SCP-939 from September 8th to October 7th in the Northern Hemisphere or March 6th to April 4th in the Southern Hemisphere is strictly forbidden.
Specifically,
no male specimens of SCP-939 have yet been identified. Contain a Class B amnestic.
Interesting.
See reproduction of SCP-939. Document number 939-0062. Reproduction of SCP-939. On September 25th, 1992, SCP-939-1 gave birth following a gestation period of roughly 12 months. Litter SCP-939-A contained 6 specimens, numbered SCP-939-A1 to SCP-939-A6.
How does that happen if they don't have any organs?
A1, A4, and A5 were male, while A3 and A6 were female. SCP-939-A2 was stillborn and immediately cannibalized by SCP-939-1. SCP-939-1 made no attempts to interfere with the confiscation of its offspring.
Oh.
Vivisection of SCP-939-A1, A3, A4, and A5 found them to be morphologically and genotypically indistinguishable from healthy human infants. The remains of SCP-939-A1 and 939-A3 are kept preserved in Biological Materials Storage Units 939-026-C and 939-026-D, respectively. within Bioresearch Area 12. Remains of SCP-939-A4 and SCP-939-A5 were incinerated. SCP-939-A6 will be transferred to for observation as it matures. It will undergo monthly physical examination, supplemented with any additional measures deemed necessary. Document number 939-A6-16. Transfer of Dr. Note: March 16th, 1997. After overhearing numerous conversations between personnel, SCP-939-A6 has come to believe its name is Keter. Given the marked positive effect on its
That's kind of
mood,
funny.
staff are advised to neither encourage nor discourage this assumption. Both its mental and physical development have remained consistent with human norms. Document number 939-A6-33. Emergency Medical Log SCP-939-A6. Date: January 9th, 2001. At approximately 2,000 hours, SCP-939-A6 began acting increasingly unsettled. When questioned, it reported a sense of malaise. Breathing was observed to be rapid and shallow. SCP-939-A6 was escorted to the medical ward for further examination. Heart rate was measured to be erratic, averaging 190 beats per minute.
That is
no further anomalies
a lot,
were observed.
But why?
SCP-939-A6 was administered a benzodiazepine and returned to containment. Probable panic attack. Trigger undetermined.
Panic attack?
Date: January 10th, 2001.
Maybe it has to do with the day?
At 4:30 hours, SCP-939-A6 reported the same symptoms, accompanied by a mild headache and aversion to light. Examination returned identical results to the previous day. SCP-939-A6 instructed to rest, administered a sedative, and returned to containment. Date: January 24th, 2001. Symptoms outlined above persisted for 2 weeks before intensifying. SCP-939-A6 destroyed the lighting fixture in its enclosure and was found to have assumed the fetal position underneath its bed at 01:40 hours.
Maybe it doesn't have that sensitivity to light when it's first born, but it develops it over time. And the panic attack was kind of caused by that. Now, like a few days later, which is why it destroyed the lighting fixtures, because it's kind of adapting to that.
A6 staunchly resisted leaving its chamber, requiring it to be carried to area medical ward. It complained of a severe headache and intense aversion to light, hypersensitivity to auditory stimuli, intense chest and abdominal pain, and uncomfortable warmth, commenting that it hurt too much to cry. A6's core body temperature measured to be 41.2 degrees Celsius. Technicians were unable to locate a pulse. MRI indicated that a reinforced concrete containment cell was immediately prepared for SCP-939-A6. The cell's lighting was dimmed and a large basin full of water provided at its request. Date: January 26th, 2001.
2 days later.
SCP-939-A6 immersed itself in the provided water basin and remained inactive for a period of approximately 41 hours, at which point it began violently tearing at its skin. It displayed a considerable amount of distress upon realizing its skin was sloughing off, but appeared unable to stop. At 22:36 hours, Dr. reported SCP-939-A6's head detached itself. By 22:40 hours,
normal.
it appeared morphologically identical to, albeit much smaller than, SCP-939-1.
Oh.
Addendum: February 13th, 2001. SCP-939-A6 has been redesignated to SCP-939-101. It will be transferred to Bioresearch Area 12 for further study.
Interesting.
Document number 939-101 1-77. Audio log 939-101A, number 13. Begin log 10:16 hours, May 22nd, 2004. Access to Cryogenic Preservation Room 939-101 granted to Dr. Access to CGPT 939-101A granted. Playing log now.
Excuse me, mister? Why are we here? It's
This is
very
the
cold,
SCP. Who?
and we would like to go home now. We're very late for our bedtime, and we're very sorry. We didn't mean it. Have you seen our pictures? We like drawing. Daddy hung them on the wall except for sometimes when the others in white coats took them away. Daddy told us not to draw pictures like those. They made him sad, so we did our best to draw other things. But sometimes we forgot. Sometimes Daddy hid the pictures, or ripped them up. He told us that it wasn't that he didn't like them. He said it was to keep us safe from the mean doctors in the white coats. But then the doctors took Daddy away.
Oh
They made us get
god.
shots and told us to forget about Daddy, but we were scared of needles without Daddy around. We didn't forget Daddy. Daddy forgot us, though. We think it was the doctor's fault. Daddy wouldn't forget about us. Would he?
Apparently he
They
would.
gave us a fake Daddy and told us it was real Daddy, but we knew better. The doctors made us get more shots. They kept telling us fake Daddy was real Daddy, but they couldn't fool us. We told them it was wrong to lie, just like Daddy told us. And then they
So-
stopped lying.
When you're experimenting on them, you just gotta hear them talk about this.
Pencils and paints, and told us we could draw whatever we wanted, so we did. Sometimes we drew Daddy, sometimes we drew what Daddy told us not to draw. And the doctors took all our pictures. Sometimes the doctors in white coats and the people with the black shirts with a lot of pockets and helmets that carried bent windows and
Bent windows. The MTFs?
They walked with us down the hall for our checkups. We didn't like those. Sometimes we had to lay in a dark place and be really, really still. Daddy would tell stories. We didn't always understand them, but we liked them anyway. There were stories about places that didn't have ceilings, where
The outside
all was
world.
forever, and the ground wasn't white. We think it's silly. Everywhere has ceilings, doesn't it? After the doctors took Daddy away, we didn't get to hear stories anymore. And we didn't feel good. The doctors made us get loads of checkups, and we think they got scared, so we got scared too. We had a really bad headache, and the lights bothered us, and so did noises.
There it
We
is.
wanted to find lots of cool water away from the bright lights until our headache went away. They let us be in the dark and gave us lots of water, but the water made us itch all over. When we scratched, sometimes our skin came off. We were so scared. We kept asking for Daddy, but he never showed up. Eventually,
Oh,
we didn't
God.
have any skin left. But it was okay because we didn't need it anymore. We stopped itching after that. The lights stopped bothering us so much and the headache went away after our old head came off.
Her
Lights
old
still
head
bother
came
us,
off.
but not as much as they did. We don't see right anymore. We got so hungry. It was bad, but we ate our old skin and our old head. It tasted good,
Oh
but it
my
was
god.
still bad. We were still hungry after that and asked for food. They gave us food, even our favorites, but none of it tasted right to us. All that tasted good was one piece of meat.
Oh,
asked for
there
more
it
of that.
is. There it is. They
There were
want
lots of
more
people
meat.
in the dark with us.
Always hungry.
We asked them not to, but they didn't listen to us. We weren't hungry for a while after that. But we're hungry now. We're very sorry. We know lying is wrong. We didn't mean it.
Probably locked in like 2 D-class personnel in there just to
Addendum.
see what would happen, maybe.
February 20th, 1992. Effective immediately, use of AMNC-227 as an amnestic is suspended indefinitely. Consult Incident Report AMNC-227-939 for further information. This is Incident AMN C-227-939.
Right. Why?
SCP involved, SCP-939.
I didn't think it was a good idea to begin with, but...
Description. On January 30th, 1992, a statistical rate of missing persons reports more than times the national average was noted amongst civilians administered AMN C-227 following the capture of SCP on November 28th, 1990, 2 kilometers northwest of. Pending further investigation, use of AMN C-227 was suspended. On January 31st, 1992, field agents and were dispatched to the area to investigate. Through collaboration with local law enforcement, Agent was able to secure an interview with James. Approximately 7 months prior to the arrival of field agents, James reported 3 individuals missing under suspicious circumstances. All had been previously administered AMN C-227.
Does it make them go out and do something, maybe?
Document number 939-73. James. Interview number 1. Interviewed, James. Interviewer, Agent something. Forward. This interview is being conducted by myself, Agent, in order to confirm or refute the possibility of a link between the disappearances of
A lot of censoring here. Oh my god.
reported by James on the 5th of June, 1991. And prior administration of AMN C-227 to all 4 named individuals on the 28th of November, 1990. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me, Mr. To begin, I'd like you to relate the events of June 5th in as much detail as you can.
Okay. We called some friends, and we decided to go for a hike. Just sort of buck about in the woods, you know?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
nice enough day out, and we had
It's what you do, right? In the woods.
Nothing seemed strange until I commented on a feeling of deja vu. Gave me a funny look, and she said she felt it too. We all did. Must have been the only smart one. He got creeped out and went home. The rest of us were curious and decided to look into it. I mean, when have you ever heard of 5 people all feeling deja vu at the same time?
I mean, if you were administered the
Please
amnestics,
continue.
there is that
Strange.
possibility.
The feeling of familiarity got stronger and
You
stronger.
just don't remember. But somewhere deep down you do.
Yeah, huge cave nearby. I don't think any of us had ever been inside before. We only had one flashlight, and it was dumb as hell in hindsight. But
Yeah,
we
you
went
think?
inside. The feeling kept getting stronger the further in we went. I know I keep calling it deja vu, but that's not the right way to put it. It was more of a general feeling of familiarity. Not like this had happened before, but something about it was just familiar. And nobody could put their finger on what. The deeper we went, the more familiar it felt. The more certain we felt we were getting closer. To what? I don't know. None of us knew. And that's why we kept going.
Did you find anything?
No. Well, I don't know. I remember saying something about it getting late. And we should turn back. I don't remember anything after that. Until
What happened?
If you need to take a moment, that's fine. I don't remember a fucking thing until sitting on the side of the highway. It was dark out. An officer was
What happened?
asking a question, telling me to stay calm until the ambulance arrived. I was all cut up, screaming about Red, begging the officer to let me go. I had to get
Was it one of the doggos?
away.
When he
Away
says
from
red,
home.
does he mean blood or the color of
What was
the
red?
dog?
I don't remember. What about your friends? They weren't with me. They think I did it. Won't listen to me. I was high on something. That I was coming down off a bad acid trip. Said I kept screaming at the ambulance, flashing lights, that they were
Screaming at the lights?
But
The
red makes me
light sensitivity?
feel uneasy now. Closing statement. My team is ill-prepared to investigate further. We will be returning in the morning to report our findings. A minimal cover-up should be necessary, depending on what's found, at least for this particular incident. To this end, I suggest Mr. Jones should be strongly implicated in his friend's disappearances. Following his conviction, he could be recruited from the prison system as clearance level 0 janitorial staff and transferred to whatever installation can use him.
God damn the SCP Foundation.
Agent reported the possibility of an SCP-939 den in the area, and eradication detail was dispatched to investigate. SCP-939 presence was confirmed within and destroyed by February 6, 1992.
Okay.
On February
So it was the
20th,
dogs.
1992, Dr. confirmed the sensation of familiarity reported by James was solely attributable to a hitherto undocumented effect of a second exposure to aerosolized AMNC-227 following a first exposure of an individual to ECT. This sensation appears to act as a lure in those affected by AMNC-227, drawing them toward higher concentrations, most often centering around dens of SCP-939.
So that's how they use it.
Addendum. March 1st,
939,
1992.
I mean.
AMN-C-227 aided tracking of SCP-939. We can use this. Anyone exposed to a concentration high enough for temporary anterograde amnesia to manifest can stalk them like bloodhounds, if they know how to identify the misplaced sense of familiarity for what it is. Based on retracing of the route Mr. J.S. and his friends followed, we know to expect an effective range of kilometers if we use this form of tracking. No, it can't find individual SCP-939, but it can guide us to their dens. I recommend we brief a number of field operatives on this plan. Any willing would then be exposed to AMNC-227 under controlled conditions and dispatched first to the locations of AMNC-227 use on civilian populations. Any errant sensation of familiarity experienced by these operatives will be taken as identification of an SCP-939 den nearby and reported as such. Eradication teams will be dispatched to investigate, destroying these dens as they are located. After this has been accomplished, I believe the dispatch of these operatives to major population centers to facilitate their securing, coupled with standard monitoring civilian, military, law enforcement, and channels of information, is the best course of action to locate and exterminate SCP-939 in the wild. Dr.
I wonder if there are still more out there.
Okay. I think that about does it for today. Thank you very much for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. I may be a dog person, but this is one pupper I do not want to pet. We still have no idea how they're able to imitate voices of, even the voices of people they haven't heard before. Yeah.